Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. My name is Amy Sylvis, the founder and principal of Sylvis Capital. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. I am so excited to welcome Sharon Gleason. Sharon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Amy. I'm probably your first Australian on the podcast.
Oh, I think you are. You're also our first woman guest, which is so exciting too. Yes, we're going to have many women, but gosh, I'm just so excited to have you. I'm going to read your bio real quick, and then we're going to get into all of this really great content. So everyone, Sharon Gleason is a former corporate professional turned successful entrepreneur and advocate for healthy living. After 25 years in the HR change management space, Sharon faced the challenges of juggling career aspirations with motherhood. Against her hesitations, she took a leap of faith, and now almost 9 years later, she shares her empowering story of building a business and lifestyle that allows her to have it all. Sharon, this is so great. Welcome.
Thank you, Amy. It is honestly such a privilege to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I love so much that you talk about health. You and I have worked together on my health. You've worked with you still work with husband Joel and given incredible results. But gosh, we talk about abundance on this podcast, and all of the high net worth, the high income people I talk to that are real go-getters, none of that is possible without our health in place. I'm sure that resonates with you as well, of course, given my story. So I'm just thrilled to talk about all the great information you have around health and how that can be achieved.
You're absolutely right. When you look at abundance, no good having a financial abundance if we don't have our health. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, and I was, heading down that path myself, sometimes we prioritize our career, we prioritize travel, our finances, but sometimes we're not really keeping our eye on that health ball. And we want to have it all. And that does underpin everything.
It does. Can you tell us a little bit more? You alluded to it in your bio, but before we started recording, you were telling me a little bit more about your background and kind of the path that you went through. I'd love for you to share it because I think your story is probably going to resonate with a lot of folks.
Yes, they do say you end up coaching the old youth. So, I was brought up, middle-class family in that era of, go to uni, get a job, work really hard. And I did have a very fulfilling career in terms of my work, the experiences I got, the personal development that I had, and I was very well financially rewarded for what I did. But when we started a family, it was really important to both of us that I could be a present mum. I wanted to be there for the drop-offs, the pickups, the milestones, the school holidays. But I also wanted something for me. I knew that I wanted something more, and I wanted to be able to contribute to our family. Also to have some sort of sense of purpose for my life, in addition to raising our girls. So the job that I had at the time, I was working 60 hours a week and really trying to, juggle being a mum, working, running a household, all of those things. And that job just didn't really lend itself to being a mum. So I started consulting, which I somehow managed to juggle when the girls were young. But as they got a bit older, things started to unravel. So anyone who's done consulting or anyone who works an hour and gets paid an hour will understand that concept of trading time for money. So you work, you get paid, you don't work, you get paid. And I realized two things. So my time leverage was shrinking because I wanted all this time off. I sort of worked out that with all the school holidays and days off that the girls got, I needed about 16 weeks off a year. And my job didn't give me that. So I realized that, my paycheck was shrinking as my time leverage was shrinking. And the other thing was that 60% of what I was earning was actually building someone else's business because, they held all the risk. They had the infrastructure, the client relationship. So they kind of clipped the ticket, which, I didn't want to take the risk and start my own business. So I guess that's fair enough. But the other thing was that I was burnt out. I was really burning the candle at both ends, and the health ball was starting to slip. Even though on the surface, it looked like I had it all. I felt like I was stuck on this hamster wheel where I was grinding the gears. And I remembered hearing a saying, don't get so busy earning a living that you forget to make a life, or that life's not worth living. My days felt like that. I'd start at 5 a.m. I'd be driving my children around everywhere, going to work, picking them up, and we'd finish at 9 o'clock at night. The last pickup was after ballet. So my days were crazy busy. So I was succeeding at being a present mum. My girls got to do everything, but at what cost? I always say to people, at what cost? And the cost to me was that I was burnt out. And I remember I was looking for something. I thought there's got to be a better way. And it's funny how, I often say life throws you curveballs. So the GFC hit and all consultants for the company that I was working with were gone. Didn't matter what you were doing. So I suddenly didn't have a role, which, when people are in that situation at the time, it feels really distressing. But honestly, it was the biggest blessing because it actually forced me to look for something different. So that's what led me to starting my own online health and wellness business, which really was a platform to help me to manage my own health, but it's also given me the opportunity to earn a business where my income's not capped on the hours that I can work. I get to leverage my time and control my schedule, which is really, really important to me. I've built a legacy that I can leave to my girls. And ultimately what it's done is it's led me to my other passion, which is health coaching. So giving me that opportunity to really have a life with purpose.
So much to unpack there. That is really incredible. What really resonates with me is, that inflection point. I talk to a lot of people about, knowing that a change needs to be made, but having these golden handcuffs or what is going to really induce that change? And a common theme I hear, and I had it with myself, of oftentimes these events happen to us that we wouldn't necessarily have wished on ourselves. And at the time they feel incredibly difficult, but oh my gosh, another door opened for you, it sounds like. And the global financial crisis was a nightmare for almost everybody, right? There are very few people that were untouched in Australia and the US, throughout the world. I think quite a bit about, I had to medically retire at age 35, and that really was devastating, but opened the door for me to start this incredible real estate business when I got healthier. So how much would you say did your mindset play in this journey or in that transition? Because I know you've mentioned you're big on mindset. It's a continuous journey for you. So what did that look like? I'm curious.
I believe it's everything. And, when you've gone from being an employee or even with consulting, someone else is controlling everything. So you just really need to front up and do the things. Whereas when you're starting your own business, it's scary, whether it comes to health, finances and so on. And I love that saying by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So I personally had to go through a lot of growth in that area because I was sort of brought up in that era of, work hard, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. It was a bit of a glass half empty approach to life. And it did take a lot of personal growth to really uncover the limiting beliefs that I had and to change those patterns that were hardwired in me. And I find the same with a lot of my health coaching clients. And it's true with money mindset. There's so many money mindset coaches around these days. And even your happiness. People often want to make a change and often they even know what to do, but it's often their mindset that's their difference between reaching their goals or not. And, you don't see successful athletes standing, at the 3-point line and going, oh my gosh, what if I miss this shot or what if I don't make it? They visualize themselves doing that, taking that shot, winning that race, or whatever it is that they're doing. And it doesn't always necessarily mean that we get there, but we give ourselves the best chance if we can create a mindset that's going to support us in achieving our goals. So ultimately, if you think about it, unfortunately as humans, we are sort of tended towards the negative and that little voice inside our head that trips us up. So I really find that, when we want change, we need to make sure that we're setting ourselves up with a mindset that's going to help us to get towards those goals and support us in achieving whatever it is that we want with our life, whether it's our finances, our health, our money, our relationships.
You mentioned the people that you coach, what you do in that space. So I'm imagining there are probably some limiting beliefs, some mental blocks that come to you. How do you help folks overcome that? Because I would imagine folks come to you with a goal and maybe they think there are tactics or secrets that you can give to them, but maybe there's a different approach. I'm guessing, I don't want to put words in your mouth, on how you can help them get to where they are. And it may not necessarily be about diet and exercise at first. You tell me.
You're right. I mean, initially it's about giving people the knowledge and making sure they've got the right information.
Yeah.
But ultimately it is helping them to uncover like what are the things that are keeping them stuck. Sometimes they're aware of the things that they say to themselves. And honestly, the things that people tell me they say to themselves are so sad. You'd never say it to your best friend. But often there are things that we might have been conditioned when we were younger that we need to kind of uncover. And it's really, I think, when we can uncover those things is when the real breakthroughs happen. So a little tactic that I love to encourage people to do is, in fact, it's not my idea. It's Darren Hardy from the book, The Compound Effect. He calls it bookending your day. And I've adopted this process, and you know what it's like in life. We have all these ups and downs, and it might be not even necessarily something to do with the specific thing you're working on. I shared with you recently, my dog died recently, and that was a tough time. We have these times where we maybe don't feel so good and we need to work a little harder on our mindset. But this concept of bookending your day is in the morning actually starting thinking about what are the affirmations or the things that I really want for my day. So one of mine is, I'm getting older. But one of the ones that I say to myself is, I'm so grateful for my fit, strong, healthy body. Now, I don't always feel like that, but I don't want to say, I'm too tired, I don't have any energy, because all that we do then is we start to actually do things in the day that actually support that mindset. So I say every day, I'm so grateful for my fit, strong, healthy body, or new and exciting opportunities come into my life every single day. So I help people find out what are the things you're saying to yourself now. Let's turn those into positive and let's speak life over what it is that you want for yourself and your goals. And then the other bookend of the day is at the end of the day, thinking about all the evidence, all the things that happened in your day that actually supported that. So it might have been, wow, I felt really good in my workout today. I'm really proud of myself that even though maybe I didn't really feel like doing it, I actually got up and I went and did it. Or maybe I pushed myself that little bit harder. Or, wow, I'm really pleased that even though I felt really busy at lunchtime, I did actually stop and make sure I grabbed myself a quick and easy lunch. So the bookending it's about creating the mindset and the vision for what it is that you want for yourself, and then finding the evidence that supports that identity that you're wanting to create for yourself.
Gosh, I love that on so many levels. The notion that we have self-talk that we may not even be aware of, right? Whether it's coming from our subconscious or maybe it's just so routine that we don't even notice it, and the impact that can have, your thoughts become actions, right? So uncovering that, getting to maybe the root of what's going on and the cascade that can come from there, that's so powerful. And doing it with somebody that's coaching you through. Sometimes you've got blind spots, right? And that other people can see that you may not be able to do on your own. And then this other notion of our brain can only take in consciously and process a limited number of things at a time, right? So at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm doing a proper justice to summarizing this, but confirming, hey, these things actually did happen, and making sure you're focusing on those positive things to reinforce, that I don't know if it's the reticular activating system or something along those lines. How powerful, what a great habit. And I can see how that can have an incredible impact.
That's exactly what it is. So the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, he actually Joe Dispenza talks about the neural pathways that are formed, and we can break those. But if we don't do it long enough, they just keep on pinging back. We need to actually, he calls it pruning. We need to break that neural pathway and then create a new one. And we need to do it often enough or regularly enough that it actually firms that new. So I'm evidence of that. I was brought up in a glass half empty mindset.
Yes.
And I worked really hard to change that. And I now don't have, I still do work on it, but I don't have to work on it as much as I used to, because it's become my new approach. It's looking for the positive in things rather than looking at the negative. So we can do it. I actually had a client tell me the other day, I shared this with her, she's quite skeptical. And so she did this bookending thing. Yeah. And she did it for a week and said it was great. Then she said she didn't do it for a week. And she said, I have to confess, when you first told me, I thought, that's a bit woo-woo. But she was great. She's coachable. So she did it. And she said, I actually have proven that it works because I did it for a week and it made a difference to my energy and how I approached my day. And then the week that I didn't do it, I really noticed a big difference. So sometimes we need to learn our lessons that way. We need to try something, realize it works, then deviate from it, and then go, oh, actually, do you know what? That does make a difference. And that's okay. I think that a really important thing to think about, whatever it is with our life is, there's no failures, there's only learnings. And I think particularly when it comes from health, we do have this kind of all or nothing mindset where sometimes, if something doesn't work out, people think, oh, that didn't work. And so they quit rather than going, okay, well, that didn't work. What can I learn from it? What do I maybe need to do differently? And just keep going.
Yeah, you mentioned this all or nothing type concept. I don't know if it's uniquely American, if it crosses over the Pacific to Australia as well. Probably just a human thing, it sounds like. But I would imagine, and I've experienced this myself, that many of your clients, we talked about this before we started recording, of, if your health is not where you want it to be, it can feel like this massive, you need to make massive change. You need to really get back on track. And that can just feel so overwhelming and can cause folks to just not take any action. So the fact that you mentioned kind of these little steps, I even felt myself, just even though I've heard you say this before, just kind of go, okay, all right, this feels more manageable. Can you talk about that aspect of these small changes?
The way that you've just described that is what I find with most people. Like, unfortunately, that dieting culture or, challenges at the gym where you've got to, go to the gym 6 times a week for 45 minutes or whatever. People do these things and they're really hard to do.
Yeah.
And often you hear people go, oh, thank goodness I've just finished that challenge or that thing I was doing. And then it doesn't take long for the good effects that they got from that to then unravel, because when something's big and it's hard to do and we're restricting or we're pushing ourselves to unrealistic limits, it's hard to do and it's harder to maintain. And I think, as we get older, if that's the way that we've sort of done things in the past, when we get to a point where we think, okay, I need to make a change, because traditionally it's usually involved some big, massive change. Oh my gosh, people are busy. And so they think, I don't have time for that. Or I just don't have the energy for it. I always say we've only got so much time and energy for certain things. And so you're absolutely right. They get stuck. Whereas I think rather than this crazy all or nothing mindset, okay, we're not going to get the results as quickly. But I say to people, let's not do another thing. Let's stop that and let's focus on creating a lifestyle where we make some small changes that you can build on and that are going to be sustainable over the long term. So that no more diets, no more crazy exercise regimes, no more all or nothing. How about we actually set you up with a lifestyle where you can enjoy life, where it feels manageable. Like, I think people think healthy living's hard and it's not fun, it's boring. And so,
right. Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be that way. Like, healthy living can be simple and easy and it can be enjoyable. And when we take small steps and we accept that maybe the changes might take a little longer, it doesn't mean that we've got that fear of missing out. And that's what I find is, often when we do those restrictive things, we get anxious because, everyone else is having a glass of wine and I've said I'm not drinking alcohol or I've quit sugar and I can't get to have dessert. And that's when, people end up blowing up and they can't sustain it. And then they have that feeling of failure. And so then they shrink back and they stop. So seeing as a journey, like where we're not quitting and doing all these crazy things, we're taking small steps, makes it more manageable and it makes it more enjoyable and, more importantly, more sustainable. So that client I was just referring to, she's been able to still enjoy life. Yes, we've made some changes, but it hasn't meant that she has to miss out. And she dropped 2 dress sizes.
Wow.
In a year. Now, yes, okay, it's taken her 12 months to drop 2 dress sizes, but she hasn't missed out. And what she's done is she's created a lifestyle where she can still enjoy life and still enjoy going and, staying at a hotel and having a night with her sister and, having some fun.
Wow. Talk about abundance. That's fantastic. Yeah. Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. We'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show. I think that's one of the benefits I gained while working with you. And I think I've heard Joel say as well is because some of these changes aren't as dramatic, and maybe it will take a little bit longer to get results. I know I've often questioned, well, am I on the right track? Am I not getting results because I'm doing the wrong thing? Or am I not, are the results just taking a little bit longer because I'm on a sustainable path that's going to lead to the health abundance I'm looking for? So having someone who's an expert, who has experience that can, be a guide, I talk very often of it's much easier to go further faster with a coach, with a mentor, something like that. I can see that being incredibly beneficial.
I think also too, it's thinking about, what are the measures of health? Again, people are hardwired to measure health by a number on a scale.
Yes.
Or maybe how much weight they can push at the gym or how fast they can run or whatever. But I say to people, let's try to break up the relationship with the scales. And we're all different with how we approach that. But let's look at more than, if people feel they need to do that, fine. But let's look at other things. Let's look at what are your energy levels like? How do you feel during the day? Have you got the energy to get through the day? Are you feeling good in your body? Do you feel good in your clothes? Are you sleeping well? Like there's other measures that we need to think about when it comes to our health. And often when people say, oh, but I'm not, unfortunately, again, it's often to do with weight. People say, oh, I'm not losing the weight as quickly as I was hoping. It's again more about, but how are you feeling? Like, how do you feel in your clothes? Oh yeah, actually, I've dropped 2 pant sizes, or I've actually had to pull my belt in a notch, or it might be, I always ask people about their energy levels. How do you feel during the day? Are you able to wake up feeling refreshed, or are you dragging yourself around? Like that's a really big one. Like I find that energy is one of the big things that people really seem to struggle with these days. If you're thinking, I'm not maybe getting there quick enough, to think about, well, where am I trying to get to? What is it that it's really looks like for me, and how will I know? So if we are looking at things like energy, if you're sleeping well, if you're waking up feeling refreshed, if you've got the energy to get through the day, if we feel light and good in our bodies, people have normalized feeling bloated, feeling sluggish, and we shouldn't feel like that. Our bodies are designed to feel good.
That's a really good point. Yes. And if we think of the health as our foundation for, again, going back to this theme of abundance, yes, it may not necessarily be the number on the scale, because what if we reach the number on the scale and we're still not feeling full of vitality, right? If we're not sleeping well, if we don't have the energy to be with our kids or enjoy our hobbies. So that is such a healthy, well-balanced perspective that unfortunately, at least in American culture, is not something that we hear often from the media or our peers or things like that. But hopefully the tide will be turning.
Absolutely. And I think we do see these shifts, it's obviously there's years and years of this diet culture, this yo-yo, all or nothing thing, but you can sort of see that it's starting to change.
I love that. So for folks that may be listening that just want to get started with something, what would be your recommendation? I know you're not into giving kind of mass recommendations without knowing someone individually, but yeah, for people looking to really have more abundant health in their life.
I think the first thing would actually be to think about what do you really want? Like what would living a healthy, happy, balanced lifestyle look like for you? And getting really clear on what that means, because we're all different. We've all got different lifestyles, different preferences and so on. So creating that vision of what it is that you want for yourself is the most important starting point, I believe. And then it's about, I just say, let's do something better than you did yesterday. Start with one thing. And look, health is more than just nutrition and exercise. It's when I talked about my health thing, like I've prioritized those things always, but it's also getting enough good quality sleep. It's managing stress. Like so many people are living with this chronic low level stress that really has other massive health impacts. And it's also prioritizing self-care. Now, we can't change all of those things at once, but I say to people, like, figure out what's the one thing that might be the biggest needle mover for you. That might be, maybe I do need to move my body a little bit more, or maybe I do need to actually start with a healthy breakfast, or maybe it's I need to prioritize getting more sleep. That can have a big spin-on effect. Like, I have one client, that's what she was doing. She was too tired to get up in the morning because she hadn't had enough sleep, so she wasn't exercising. Because she wasn't exercising, she felt blah and hadn't had enough sleep, so she was looking for energy during the day, so she was relying on coffee and sugar and pick-me-ups. So sometimes we think, oh, I've got to change this. I need to eat better. I need to do more exercise. I need to get more sleep. I need to manage my stress. Can't do that. So pick one thing. So she picked sleep. And so we agreed that she would aim to get to bed by 10:30 at night. And we made a plan to do that because we can't just have a goal. We've got to actually create the actions and the habits that set that up. And by doing that, it meant that in the morning, she was able to get up and go for her walk. And that made her feel better. And so because she was getting up and going for a walk and feeling better, then she felt more inclined to want to eat better during the day. So my advice is pick one thing, like work on that, get that going really well, and then pick the next thing. And even if someone's fully focusing on nutrition, I'll say, let's get breakfast nailed down. Joel and I worked on that a lot, and he couldn't believe the difference that made to his entire day. Then it was, all right, well, what are we going to do around lunch? Let's look at your snacks. And we work through things, and we try different things. Like sometimes we might try 2 or 3 different things, and they may sound good at the time. They may not work. Focus on progress and not perfection is the other thing. So start small, celebrate your wins, course correct if you don't get it right the first time, just keep going. And those changes don't just add up, they compound over time.
Wow. This is so very clearly a calling for you, Sharon. The amount of knowledge, empathy, encouragement, mindset. I mean, all of this, you're so clearly made to do this. So it's very clear why you've been so successful and people love working with you. Are there any kind of final nuggets that you think would be worthwhile to share with the audience as we come to a close here?
A couple of good books that I'd really recommend are Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Like, they both talk a lot. Like, I've got a lot of my information from reading those books over and over, but those are a couple of really good resources if you're looking for something to. I love audio books. I've always got a book that I'm listening to, but it will really help, if you are someone, for example, who is stuck in that kind of all or nothing mindset, but also too, like, often people set goals, but goals are great, like they give direction, but we need to put the habits in place that are going to support us in achieving those goals. So they talk a lot about how to create habits, how to break habits. Those books are 2 resources that I would really recommend.
Brilliant. Yeah. Not necessarily health focused, but can be applied to health, right? And have that effect. And gosh, those can be used in other aspects of life where folks want to create abundance as well. So
absolutely.
I love
finances. Darren Hardy even talks about relationships, So the reason I do suggest those books is because they do have application for everything, not just health.
I love that. Sharon, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your story. This is, this is full of so much goodness. If folks want to reach out to you, get in touch with you, maybe even work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I am on LinkedIn, so Sharon Gleason. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as Health with Sharon. And I've got a website, Sharon Gleason. I'm old school. I love talking with people. So if anyone wants to talk with me further, I do offer a free initial call just to have a conversation. I might be able to share some tips that help. So people can have a look on my website, and if they're interested to have a chat with me, book in a call there.
Brilliant. We'll put all of those links in the show notes as well, so folks can take a look at there. Thank you so much, Sharon. Again, such a delight as always. Thank you for how you help people, and everyone, thanks again for listening. Make sure to share this episode with someone that you know will benefit from this information. I know we all have people in our lives that can benefit from this. So love this. Thanks again, Sharon. We'll see you all later.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.